It's Thursday night. I mean, it's time for the Doc Hardy Show. And on the program tonight, I have a very, very special guest, a very impressive young man out of Norwalk, Connecticut, a politician, activist, and he's running for president of the Norwalk branch of the NAACP, Mr. Jalin Seed.
Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure, man. I'm happy to be here. It's exciting.
Oh man, a lot has been going on in the world since you and I talked. For those that don't know, Jalin worked before I did for many years with a group called Serving All Vessels Equally, and I worked with them some last year. So we got to do a project with some of the young people last year. So we haven't talked since that project. But when we talked, it was the height of all of the protests and social justice was big in the news. And you don't see a lot right now. So what's going on?
So what's going on right now is a lot of behind the work. It's the boring part of activism that's going on right now. Even with the police accountability bill, which I believe was in the midst of getting passed the last time we spoke, there's so much public hearings and different things that happen. And it's happening right now to see like actually how in Connecticut that's going to take place. And even at that time, I didn't realize how revolutionary the police accountability bill in Connecticut really is. It's groundbreaking. Connecticut is the first state to say, hey, we're going to at least attempt to hold our police accountable. And as an activist, there's always something in me that's saying there's so much more that we could do. There's so much more how we could hold these police accountable. But then, like you said, as a politician side, I understand the compromise that had to happen to get something passed. So with that, right now, there's a lot of work. We have people on task force on the state level, on the city level, trying to figure out the wording of that. With the people, there's still that fire that's there. And I see it and I get it. I've been involved for quite some time. Right now, it's been, I think this year is probably the 12th or the 13th year that I've been involved in civil service. And you see the flows. You see when something unfortunate happens. George Floyd was unlike anything else. But when something happens, you get the hype, you get the protest, and then it kind of dies down a little bit. But you see that even with the movie Judas and the Black Messiah coming out, you see that revolution in people and that urgent need for change that's still there. It's still a lot of people that's doing a lot of work. It's not so exciting as the protest, but it's a lot going on, and we're working to really like try to get stuff done.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that update. Can we talk about Famous Pizza for a minute? What's going on with Famous Pizza? I see people asking, what's that? Update us on Famous Pizza.
So we stopped. It's like giving our energy towards Famous Pizza. We're not going to be standing outside boycotting them because they don't deserve our energy and our publicity, because there's actually a lot of Black people stopped going there and they still don't go there to this day. But there are a lot of other people who actually wanted to go more, because it's just like, oh, if Black Lives Matter, and those crazy Black kids are picketing them, we're gonna go and buy their pizza. People who never ate pizza, Famous Pizza before,
really?
But they started going, and the point is, it's just Famous Pizza has to prove that they value our dollar. To me, I'm still not going to go. A lot of people still aren't. Some people say they're never going to go, but they have a lot of work to do. Once you um, tarnish that relationship, they have work to do and build it. And they wanted me and others to stand outside and eat a slice of pizza and say everything's okay and join arms, but they didn't do enough to really show that they really cared. It was kind of like, you're hurting my business, I want it back, now come eat my pizza. And untrue to their words, Black people still aren't going to eat their pizza, and there's a lot of people who still are boycotting Famous until they prove that they value our dollar.
Okay. Now, a lot of my listeners may not know exactly what you do as a politician in the city of Norwalk. Talk to us. What are your duties and responsibilities as a politician?
So on the biggest level, I'm a member of the Democratic Party here in Norwalk, which I'm responsible for nominating and what's the word, nominating and electing um, people to run for office. So we work on elections, and we're really involved. And actually, right now, I'm the co-chair of the platform committee for the Democratic Party here in Norwalk, and we're really trying to put something together so we could tell people who we are, not just the party of Joe Biden or the national politics, but what are our values and beliefs here in Norwalk. I'm also a commissioner for the First Taxing District. So for most of the city of Norwalk, I'm one of the commissioners that, in simple terms, I make sure that we don't have a Flint, Michigan happening in Norwalk. We make sure that the water is clean. We make sure that we meet all of the highest standards, and we try to make sure that our customers pay as little as possible for the water. So we try to keep the water bills low. I'm also on the fun side. I'm a justice of the peace, so I get to facilitate weddings. I actually was just reelected this past election for that. That's probably one of my favorite things. And I'm also a constable. So many hats. We're really here trying to just make a way for us in politics here in Norwalk.
Busy guy. Excellent. Now, you threw your hat in the ring to run for the president of the Norwalk branch of the NAACP, and it seems like you've been running forever.
Yeah, and I want to start it off just because.
What's going on with the NAACP in Norwalk? Why is it taking so long for this process to be completed?
Yeah, and I want to start it off by just saying I can't speak on behalf of the branch since I'm not the president. I'm just a general member who's trying to become president of the branch. I can't speak on behalf of the branch, but um, there's so much things going on. There was a petition that was started because the process just is honestly has not been fair, um, especially to the average day person. I started the race on Juneteenth, 2020. The election was supposed to take place, or the process was supposed to start September 2nd or September 1st. Um, that meeting was a nightmare. And people had asked for the state to come in and take over the election just to make sure we had a fair process. From September until December 29th, we haven't heard anything. Um, we received a date that we are supposed to have the election on January 15th. That didn't happen. Then we got another date of February 16th, and that didn't happen. So we had about 3 election dates, and we still don't have any information. Um, I was told that I can't speak about the election, but I just feel I reached out to people. We brought in at least 150 members to the NAACP. Um, I
Wow.
say at least because those are the ones that I know for sure. There's a lot of other people who joined. Um, and I feel like as a paying member, these people deserve an answer. They look to me as a leader and someone who they feel like we can move forward. Um, so the process, it honestly has not been fair. Is shocking and is disheartening. But we don't have time to be discouraged. The work has to happen. I ran this race because I know here in Norwalk we need change. Our people are being pushed out through gentrification. Our kids are still falling through the cracks in education. Um, we have a hard time owning and taking advantage of these opportunities that are happening. Our people that's living in housing, they're living in rats and roaches infested housing, which makes them more at danger of um, getting seriously sick when they contract COVID, or if they contract COVID. So we have a lot of real issues that are happening, and because of that, we are starting the People's Coalition, um, and with that, the NAACP is not on hold. I'm still running to be the NAACP president, and I hope the NAACP could be a part of this coalition, just like any other organization. But we're starting it to really get to the people, do what the people need. I was talking to Anthony Hill about finance, and every committee or topic, I ask questions. And like with Ant Hill, I said, how can someone living paycheck to paycheck change their current situation? How could they start saving? We say save, we say budget. How can someone who's in they don't have any money to save or spare, how could we change them? And that's how we're addressing these topics. They say with or without the government, how can we help our people? And I think that's why people are drawn to groups like the Black Panthers, because it was just like, we're just going to do. When we say power to the people, we need power means the ability to do, the ability to take care of yourself, the ability to provide for your family. So how could we do? How could we get the power to the people to just do it without asking Uncle Sam or the mayor?
Right. I think you're seeing that in Texas right now with
Mm-hmm.
AOC, and what's his name, the other politician,
I
raising
know what you're talking about. I can't think of his name
raising
right now.
$4.7 million
Mm-hmm.
to help Texas families, while the government does basically nothing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the
And
federal
that's
and
the
state
thing.
does nothing.
That's the thing where it's just like politics becomes so divisive, where it's just like Republican versus Democrat, but
Right.
politics runs slow. And that's what Black people know all too well, is that no matter who's in the White House or who's in the state house or the federal house, like we seem to always be at the bottom. We always seem to have to make it work. A lot of people, even with recessions, like a recession in 2008, a lot of Black people was just like, I know it was happening because of the news, but it's just like, I've been pinching pennies my entire life. So it's just like, we've been figuring it out. So we got to change that situation. And of course, we can talk about the systemic racism and everything that put us in this place. But right now, we need to look at that and see how we could change that, which I feel like we have a lot of people doing a lot of great things where we could change the trajectory of our community.
And you referred to earlier your comments to Anthony Hill. I had Anthony on the show a couple of weeks ago, CEO of the Arkham Group. And I'm actually going to play in the second half of the program my interview with Anthony, because I think it's a powerful double header to what we're
Definitely.
talking about, to empower people in our community. Now, this coalition you're talking about, is it formal, informal? What's the structure? What does that
So,
look like? How
so
can people get involved?
So right now it's informal. Right now we're building a team of people, because I think one of the most important as a leader or someone who's being involved, you got to know what you don't know. And I know with finance, I know people like Anthony. He's a guru. He's the guy who knows. And just like an education, so we're building a team of people who are experts in these fields, so that we could come up with these ideas. People could reach out to me. I say by April we should be ready to go with the community and have like general meetings. Of course, most likely to be through Facebook. Um, but right now we're starting even with the health and wellness. We're planning on having a like Facebook Live, and I think me and you spoke about it, about these vaccines. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to say I support it or not, but I think people just need the facts. We tell people just go to your doctor, see what your doctor says. So we're going to get some doctors, because we know our people a lot of times, and a lot of Americans don't go to the doctor, so they don't have anybody to turn to except for Dr. Facebook, who sometimes doesn't give us the best information possible.
Yes, and this is a good time to plug, my YouTube channel, the Doc Hardy Show. I had Dr. Keisha Gaither on the program
Okay.
last Thursday, who she's highly qualified. We talked about COVID and vaccines, and she broke it down. She broke it
Mm-hmm.
down, and gave her opinions. And so it's we need to have these conversations. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
And that's what a lot of it is. It's just having these conversations and also giving these people with these platforms a bigger platform. Because what I've seen, and that's why it's really a coalition and not a new organization, because there's so much people doing the same work,
right,
and we have to come together. And I use a lot of times the backpack giveaways during the summer. If you look on Facebook, you'll see there's 100 backpack giveaways in one city, and then there's probably 10 on the same day, and then everybody's wondering like, why is nobody coming to my event? But it's just because people have 10
right.
different events to go to. So it's like, let's come together and do something big and be effective, instead of being so separated and thinking that we know everybody or we know everything, when it's just not true.
Those are all good points. Excellent, Jalin. Thank you. Now, of course, last Sunday was the anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X, and I noticed on Facebook you took a little sojourn down to the city of New York. Tell us about that and that experience and how it impacted you.
So it definitely, I mean, I've been following Malcolm X for a long time. And I realized that it was the anniversary of his death, and it actually fell on a Sunday. Like when he passed away on a Sunday, and I called my dad, I called my best friend, and it's like, let's just take a ride with me down to New York. And I went down there without a plan. I went down there just like, I want to be there.
Oh, really? I thought it was like an event that you had been invited to.
No,
Oh,
no, it
really?
just I
Okay.
just wanted to be there at 3 o'clock because that's when it happened. Shortly after 3, and I was like, I just want to be there. I just want to take it in. I felt drawn to it. Um, with just like this year, and usually I try to look to his speeches and other speeches for guidance, um, as a leader, and from other people, of course. But I was like, I just want to go there, and I went there. I had my X shirt on, and the security guard, um, he saw me, and he saw, I guess he could tell my face, and he was just like, "You been inside before?" And I was like, "No, man. I know you guys are closed, but I haven't been there." And he's like, "Come on!" And it was 2:55, and he was just, we went, and I saw the statue, and I was like, "I don't want to put you out. Like, I know this is your job." And he's like, "Come upstairs. You could come upstairs, man. I want you to see it." And we got to be there at 3 o'clock in the same place where Malcolm gave us like his last words, and we were there, and he was giving us the history of Sister Betty, and like more history of that day, and like testing us on different stuff. But just to be there, got like goosebumps, being there, like just it was like breathtaking to be there 57 years, like to the time, to the second, and just take it all in, and be there with my father and my best friend, and this security guard who was so educated and so passionate about Malcolm. I actually, I kind of was a little heartbroken that there weren't more people there, because I felt like if it was Martin Luther King, then everybody would be there. And I don't know that to be true, but that's just how I felt. And even we spoke about it, it's just Malcolm X doesn't get the same credit. A lot of even our people write him off as some violent, um, and irresponsible leader. But what he represented to me is the Black masculinity of the time, that especially at that time it was taken away. Whereas like a black, it'd be like a man, and I know what to be a man and masculinity is like debated today. But like as a man, you have your family, you can't take them to a restaurant, or you have a policeman, or you have your boss who's calling you a boy. And then to have a Black man like Malcolm X telling you to be proud of who you are and not hate yourself, and instill all of this pride. And that's what caught my attention, even at like 8 years old in school, when the teacher was telling me he was wrong and he was the bad guy. We need to listen to Malcolm Martin. And I was listening to his speeches at 8, and I was just like, no, this brother is onto something. Um, and I feel like us, if we see like how COINTELPRO and how the FBI like systematically destroyed our leaders, and anybody who could have been helping us. They like Hoover systematically broke them down, and put people into these organizations to make sure that we either died or discredited so much that nobody will listen to them. And I think that we have to reverse that. And that we have people with passion, but I think we have to like tell the truth about history. And that's why we went. Then I went out to the grave site, and that was just, I was like almost in tears, to see that. So it's just so exciting to just go there and just feel like I could be where his body was and just say thank you for everything you've done. So it's definitely a great experience. I plan on taking kids down there, but yesterday I pretty much was something for me to
Right.
take in with my dad.
Right. And we're seeing a lot more, of course, this movie about Fred Hampton,
Definitely.
of course, Malcolm X and Martin Luther. They're the big three, and there's others. But it seems like we need to have more of that,
Mm-hmm.
and not be so focused on what happened to them as much as we should be focused on what they tried to do.
Mm-hmm. And
Uh,
that with me, man, I got hyped up, and I actually, like, I did a lot of the work. We've been talking, but I laid out a lot of the guidelines for the People's Coalition after watching Judas and the Black Messiah. I watched what happened to him, but I saw the breakfast program. I saw, and I mean, I knew about the stuff, but to see it actually play out in the movie, and I saw how with the clinics, and I saw the work that he was doing and how he was building the coalitions with the people. And I actually had conversations with people who I know with white parents. I was like, "You going to the same messed up schools as my son that he's going to go to, the same as Spanish, and building that coalition." And I think that's what we have to do when we look at history, is see what did they do right, what could they have done. Right. And that's how I always like to look at history. It's just like, all right, this is a roadmap. It's either telling me where to go or where not to go, but we got to see where it's telling us to go and why we should go there.
Excellent. And the few minutes that we have left in this segment, Jalin, what does your 2021 look like? What's your vision? In addition, besides the coalition, what else are you working on for the betterment of your community?
So I'd be remiss to not tell my wife. She's doing pretty much all the work. I have a son that's due in June. So to me, that's my biggest, my family. And I didn't talk about that enough with this interview, but my work that I do with them, and as much as work I do with the community, working with them and being a good father and husband is top of the list, of course. But in Norwalk, and what I want to do is I want to bring one of the things is bring a mayoral debate to Norwalk that focuses on Black issues. They do it with the Latino community, which is great, and I love it. They do a citywide debate that focuses mostly on citywide issues, but I think we need a debate that's focusing on Black issues, making sure that we have sustainable housing and good housing, talking about the police, especially since our current mayor is a former police chief, asking those questions and seeing how we're going to make these differences. Also, we're working on starting like a breakfast program for the summer. A lot of the kids who, once they leave school, they might not have breakfast. And I know in a city like Norwalk, it's hard to believe, but there are some kids that the only time they eat is when they're at school. And that's a harsh reality. So we're working on building that with Lauren Mallett and mutual aid. So that's one of the other big things. But hopefully, if COVID calms down, doing some stuff with the youth, man, getting out there and maybe taking them some places, or hopefully seeing how this thing goes, maybe doing some events with the kids in the city, but definitely just getting back and touching people and hugging them, giving people hugs again. I think that's a big thing to do. So that's hopefully seeing where COVID goes and how we could do things safely, of course. But the breakfast program over the summer, the mayoral debate, and just listening to the people. We're planning on going knocking on doors, not asking for people's votes, but just saying, "Hey, my name's Jalin. I'm your neighbor. Let's talk." And we'll see where it goes. But definitely plan on talking to you more and doing some great things. But it's the year of the people, and I think that's where the focus needs to be, with Black excellence and pushing for the people and talking to the people.
Yeah, and I think media is a big part of it. You know, that's why I'm happy to be a part of a WKBS radio and Paradigm Broadcasting, Black-owned stations. We're trying to give the people a voice, trying to give our people a voice, both on the airwaves and on the internet. And you're a young, powerful voice of our time, and I'm happy to have you on the program. Jalin, tell my listeners how they can follow you on social media.
So you can find me on Facebook as Jalin Seed Senior, Jalin space SEAD. I'm on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram under Mr. Norwalk. So I'm on Instagram or Facebook. I'm here. You can talk to me. I'm from Norwalk. Hey, just reach out to me. I'm here. I'm here for you guys, man. And I know I'm not getting too wrapped up in this NAACP thing. I think we're kind of wasting too much time, and it's going to happen, and we're prepared for it. But now it's just, let's get to work. And if anybody has any ideas or anything, please reach out to me, because that's what I'm here for.
Excellent. Jalin, thank you so much for being on the Doc Hardy Show. Coming up next, a replay of my interview with the CEO of the Arkham Group, Mr. Anthony Hill.
Thanks for having me, Doc.
Credit 101. All right, my man. Be good. Kiss the wife and the baby.
All right. Definitely. Have a good one, man.